Hello YouTube, Sir Dragon X here. I have some great news. INM just officially released an FMM travel guide on their official Facebook site. Let's talk about it. I know there's been a lot of confusion lately with obtaining a visitor's FMM when entering Mexico. Just yesterday, INM officially released a travel guide on their Facebook page outlining the requirements for obtaining a tourist FMM. Although this travel guide was actually published on the INM website on June 29, it has also shown up on the Facebook page. With all the issues going on with issuing FMMs, I see this as a sign as INM trying to communicate to tourists what they are going to require from now on for a tourist FMM. I also see this as a positive sign that INM may be getting more consistent as far as their issuance of tourist FMMs. I will be providing a link where you can download this guide. It is in Spanish, but today we will be discussing and going over this guide. We're also going to discuss what it may mean to visitors trying to obtain a tourist FMM when entering Mexico. This travel guide should better prepare you when attempting to obtain a tourist FMM. I will be breaking down this guide in hopes to better prepare you to obtain your tourist FMM and receive the amount of days that you request. Before we start, don't forget to subscribe and visit us on our social media and join us in our live chat rooms via Discord or Slack at the links listed in the description of this video. Now, keep in mind, these are only travel guidelines that were issued by Mexican immigration. The immigration officer still has full discretion to decide how many days to give you. So, let's break down this guide, shall we? The guide starts off to state that you can stay in Mexico for up to 180 days and you can receive a visitor's permit without permission to work. It is applicable to tourism, business trips, journalists, religion, students staying for short periods of time, or any other activity that does not require you to work in Mexico. These activities include philanthropic activities, sports, to attend a conference, or people passing through Mexico en route to a third country. First, what are the basic requirements? I will only be covering the countries that do not require a visitor's visa in this video. First, you need a valid passport, an ID, and your travel documents. You must fill out a Forma Migratoria Múltiple, also known as an FMM. You can obtain this form at an airport or a land border entry. Last but not least, documents that demonstrate the purpose of your stay, and you must answer any questions in regards to your stay that immigration officials ask you. The guide goes on to list several examples of documentation that the immigration officer may ask you to provide to prove the purpose of your trip. Let's go over them, shall we? Hotel reservations, plane tickets showing your return flight, and/or tickets to tours that you may have purchased previous to your trip. In the case of visiting for business, they may ask you for a letter in Spanish from the company you work for or affiliated company you plan to visit, indicating that you are an employee of the company you represent and the purpose of your trip. In the case that you may be visiting a public or private institution, you may be required to show an invitation that indicates that you are not going to participate in any activities that require you to work in Mexico. That invitation must also indicate the purpose of your trip and the amount of time you will be staying. In case the institution will be paying your expenses for travel and hotel, you may be asked for supporting documentation showing this. If you are visiting to participate in a project related to the national education system, you may be asked for your invitation or acceptance from the educational institution that you will be participating for the sole purpose of attending courses, studies, or doing research on a temporary basis for no more than 180 days. The travel guide goes on to state that upon arrival to the country, immigration officials will stamp an immigration seal in your FMM and will authorize you to stay in the country for a period of time up to the maximum of 180 days. Keep these documents with you at all times because this is your proof of your legal status in the country. Then it goes on to state that you need to realize that immigration authorities can ask several questions about the purpose of your stay, and they give examples. In the case of a tourist, they may ask, which places are you going to visit in Mexico? Do you have reservations for any of the places you plan to visit at that location? In the case of traveling for business, they may ask, what's the name of the company that invited you to visit, and where is the company located? What activities are you going to conduct with that company? Do you know anybody that works at that company? Now, in the case of students, they may ask, which institution do you plan to attend in Mexico? What kind of studies are you participating in? Why did you decide to study in Mexico? And there are, of course, general questions that they may ask you also, such as, how many days do you plan to stay in Mexico? Where are you going to stay while you're here in Mexico? How are you familiar with the places that you plan to visit? What will be your address and your phone number while you're staying here in Mexico? What do you do for work in your home country? Where do you live in your home country? And where are you coming from? Then the travel guide goes on to state that according to Article 60 of the immigration law, if INM officials suspect that you are lying, they have the right to require the documents listed and ask you these questions and corroborate any information you provide. It also states that under Article 61 of the immigration law, INM officials have the right to solicit the documentation or ask questions to prove the motive of your trip, and that they can also ask you for proof of financial solvency, and that you have the ability to pay your expenses for the duration of your stay. And then it also states that you can bring in cash or money valued up to 10,000 US dollars without paying taxes. If you are bringing in more than that, you must declare it upon entry. The final point the guide makes is that upon exit of the country, you have the obligation to return the FMM. In the case that your FMM is lost, you must report to the closest INM office as soon as possible to replace the FMM, and there is a fine. So, what does all this mean? Well, it all goes back to my famous saying of, it depends. With the public release of this document on the official INM Facebook page, all we can hope is that there will be more consistency when issuing FMMs. All I can advise is that you do your best to follow the official INM travel guide, and hopefully you will get the days you need on your FMM. Good luck, enjoy your stay in Mexico, and see you soon.